And the last view that I showed you, I think it was the last view, with the Smithdown Lane elevation with the colonnade columns. So that's what these columns closest to me are. So what we're doing, in case you hadn't guessed, it's a reinforced concrete in situ frame. So everything is being poured as we go up the building. Okay, we've got the groundwork side where I've already shown you. There's a mixture of piled foundations and traditional mass pad foundations below here. The reason we've got the traditional mass pad foundations is because we're on a very, very good strata. We're on a very good bearing sandstone. If any of you have been on a train into or out of Lime Street Station, you'll see when you come through the cuttings, it's very, very good sandstone as you come through it. That's what we're on top of here. So the building can quite happily sit on there because the rock level is so good. Okay, so we're going up with a concrete frame, 13 stories on this elevation, 3 stories in behind. From a constructability viewpoint, it's a fairly tight site. It's not the tightest in the world, but it's still fairly tight. Therefore, that's why we've employed 2 tower cranes. Some people will look at the tower cranes and say, why have you put 2 up rather than just 1 big one? The idea being, if you have any mechanical problems, you don't shut the entire site down. You have 50% of the site still working at any one time. If both were to break down at the same time, it's an unlucky day. Okay, you just take that day and go, fair enough, it's happened. With regards to the tower cranes as well, despite the fact that that one is twice the height of that one, they both have exactly the same lifting capacity. They can both do 4 ton at the end of the jib, and they do 6 ton up to 25 metres away from the mast. If you're that way inclined and a bit geeky like I am, that's 74 metres to the underside of the cab. That one's 45 metres to the underside of the cab. The reason why this one is so much bigger than that one, and yet both of them do the same size, any ideas? Anyone? No? It's because next door, they're putting an 18-storey building, so our crane can't clash with theirs. So you've got to also, when you're planning jobs, it's not just about looking at our little patch of land, you've got to look at what's going on around you as well. So we've had to increase the height of our crane so that there's no chance of any crane clashes or clashing with the buildings. From an architectural concept viewpoint, the building, as you saw on the BIM model, or you should see it on the BIM model, we've got the cantilever at 3rd floor that juts out. Yeah? The reason we've got that is it's so that the architecture of this building sort of copies and shows a juxtaposition with the Royal Liverpool Hospital, because that has exactly the same cantilever on it. So the idea is that the 2 of them across from the corners are actually starting as a gateway into the Knowledge Quarter. This project sits within the Liverpool City Council Knowledge Quarter. It was an old secondary school, and the councillors kept hold of it and sold it off to developers. So you've got Kaplan International College going here. The Royal College of Physicians has just been announced for a building called The Spine, which is the 16-storey next to us. Over at Mipham in Cannes, there's a hotel that's just been announced, which will be 1 or 3 providers, which will be on the corner. That looks like it's going to be 30 stories. And behind us, where the concrete wall is, which I'll show you on the way up, is going to be the Rutherford Cancer Centre, which is a proton beam accelerator for cancer treatments. So the idea is that from a city viewpoint and the gateway into the city, the knowledge of the university comes up and the healthcare moves across, and they all come together in one site. Okay? We'll go down to the corner and I'll show you a couple of bits down there to do with the site ownership and the site boundaries. But from an architectural making the site work viewpoint, where we're stood is actually outside of our permitted development boundary. We've gone into negotiation with the council and taken the footpath and taken the roads. Our boundary is actually the other side of them columns. Where the edge of that wall is, you just see the edge of the manhole. Well, I can from here. That's our boundary. I'll show you it better on the corner. The idea being, it's a privately developed site, so use as much of it. Land costs money, so you want to use as much of it as possible. Okay? Told you about listening out for the whistles, so something's coming over. There it is. Some other things to beware of when you're designing and developing around sites. To my right, to your left, there's a small brick turret. There's another one at the other end of the site. That's the air shaft for an old disused railway tunnel. It goes into the docks and goes out to Edge Hill. It's 20 metres below us. However, Network Rail have something called a zone of permitted development, and you can't be within, I think it's 6 metres in plan of the asset, and you can't be within 15 metres of the top of the asset. We're okay with the depth of it because we're not there, but when this entire development is finished, there's a 10 to 12 metre avenue that runs through the middle of it so that it protects that Network Rail asset. Okay? From an insurance viewpoint, our clients were asked to insure that asset. Network Rail don't use it. They haven't used it since the 1960s, but they may use it going forward. The client was asked to do an unlimited insurance on it, so should there be any problem with that tunnel, they would repair it. There was no limit to the liability. Our clients' insurers would not accept that, because how can you pay a premium on something that's unlimited? So they've agreed to £100 million limit on it. So if any damage up to the value of 100 million, our clients' insurers will cover it. So they're talking catastrophic failure of it when they're talking that sort of money. You're talking a new tunnel boring machine, the far end, and coming through and reboring the entire gauge. Okay, I'll jump out and head down to the corner. We'll stop there. I'll show you where the substation's going. I'll show you the site boundary. Then we'll talk about the retaining wall at the top. Then I'll talk you around what the concrete pump's doing, and then we'll get you in. Okay.